you to the audience of social media. Social media, everybody meet Gregory. And I love your
Hey,
name, by the way.
everybody. Oh, thank you. Thank you.
So, Gregory, tell us, how can we meet speakers we don't know and get them to speak for us?
You got to have courage. Let's put it in in a polite way of saying it. You have to have courage. We all see, and social media is a little bit different. Influencers are a little bit more reachable maybe these days than the last time I did a summit, but it's still the same thing. So let's just say you pick somebody who is the top in the field that you want to. Let's just say you're doing a summit on speaking, and you want to have this person who is a TEDx coach, expert. She's done a TEDx, not, many TEDx talks. But you're thinking, how the heck am I going to find this person? Get a way to get to this person. You can see her or him. And the first thing I would say is make sure that whatever summit you are putting together is rock solid in terms of the message. What is the value for the listener? Way before you start pitching these big fish, as we call them, or whales, you have to have a strong point of view or they're not going to be able to hook onto it, right? It's like you wouldn't go fishing for a whale with a little fly rod, right? You have to be rock solid. And Erica, you and I were talking before you hit record about the importance of looking good. I hate to say that, but if you're going to create a sales page, an opt-in page for your summit, and it's ready before you start pitching, it doesn't always have to be, but if it is, make sure that if you send a link to either the person themselves or their PR people, their assistant, they go to that page, they want wow. They don't want boring graphics. They don't want a 10-year-old look. They want it to feel like, wow, I could feel good being a part of this thing. So once you've got that nailed, and really the most important takeaway from what I just said was the message. How is your summit different in the value you're going to provide? And what are you naming the summit? Like Women's Health Over 50 Summit, not so exciting, but how to not turn into an old lady summit, maybe a little bit more interesting, right? Then you need to get to know the inner person, not just what's on Instagram. I'll give you an example. I once wanted a TEDx person high up in the world of TEDx coaches, and I didn't know her. I didn't know anybody. That's the other thing. Ask people if they know. Say, like, I would like to meet Kamala Harris and have her on my summit. I'd like to meet her virtually. Does anybody know Kamala, or does anybody have a link to her, somebody that might know her that knows her? And LinkedIn is a great place for that when you're looking for big people. Ask your circle if anybody knows them. Then I started digging. I went through every last bit of information I could find about this person. And I read one little piece of her bio on her about page way at the bottom. And she talked about a certain kind of loafer and belt that she coveted when she was in high school. All the kids in my school also, I went to an all-girls school, we all wanted ATN Anye belt and loafers. And I thought, this is it. So I sent out email, because she had an email link on her website. And the subject line was, do you still have those ATN Anye loafers? And then I went into the pitch, and she answered immediately. She said, where did you find that? Because she had forgotten she wrote about it. And so that was an opening, right? She recognized that I did my homework. And she also felt this is a cool way to be approached, rather than, I have a summit I'd like you to be a speaker on. What do you say, Erica? Is that how you get people?
I love your research. I'm a big fan of research. I definitely believe that the best information is hidden in the written word. So the fact that you went and did your research to find your speakers, that's amazing. I like that.
Well, all of us want to be seen or known for more than just that big public persona. I've interviewed a ton of people between my summits and my podcast, and I'll tell you the one thing that I hear more often than not, when I usually ask, what should I ask you that nobody else asks you? That gives them a chance to be more of who they are, as opposed to who the public thinks they are or sees them as. And that also makes for a better interview. It gives your listeners more than just what they could hear on another interview or on a podcast interview. So it's really important.
I'm so nosy, I can't help but to ask what I want to know. So
That's it. Good for
that's just
you.
what I do.
Yeah, and that, honestly, I have never had somebody, well, I've interviewed a lot of doctors and I always ask before the interview, is there anything you don't want me to talk about? Because I read this in your bio. Or if it's a sensitive subject, like I interviewed somebody on recovering from child abuse trauma. So is there anything you're not willing to talk about? And they said, yeah, let's not go here. It's too much for a podcast. Most people are like, yeah, ask me anything. And I tend to ask questions, especially when I've done interviews on health. I poke the bear a little because again, I don't want to get the same answers that they're used to giving. And I want to, my brand, Rebellious Wellness for the health business, is rebellious. If I ask the same old questions, then that's not serving me or my brand or my audience. So you have to make sure that whatever your point of view, whatever you stand for in the world, and that's why you're doing a summit, is that you want to bring more information. And by the way, yes, I'm going to acknowledge we also want leads so that we can grow our list so that maybe we can get more customers. But we really want to, because the interviewee, the guest, is going to appreciate having a chance to talk about something else rather than their pat answers all the time. And that means you also have to do a little bit more homework. Okay, this is what they've said for the past year. I see them on social. Every time somebody asks them a question, it's these three. How can I not do that? How can I go outside of what's usually happening? So it requires more research. And one time I had somebody who was a doc and we were going to talk about hormone balance or imbalance or something. And I saw that she was going on vacation and was going to do this interview with me from her vacation home at the beach. And so I said, let's talk about hormones and vitamin D. You're at the beach, you're sitting in the sun, right? And then she was like, oh, wow, so really just be prepared is one of the best things I can say about how to get a big fish and then how to keep them interested so that they shine and your summit has more value.
I've always heard that people find you more interesting when you are interested in them.
Yeah.
So the fact that you do research about them shows them that you're very interested. And I
Yeah.
think you can get more, maybe more information from them when you share that how interested you are in them.
Yes, of course. And I would say that the listener is more interested in them than the host, basically. Because our job, as you know, is to ask the right questions and then sit back and listen to it unfold and then listen for the next question that might be lurking there in what they just said. And that's what the audience, excuse me, is listening for. Their juice, their expertise.
Could you tell us about your first virtual summit that you've hosted and how was your experience with that?
Sure. The first summit I hosted now, I'm old people, okay? So this was probably 15 years ago. And summits were a thing, but I didn't have a whole lot of coaching. But I knew that I had a great audience. I had a list of maybe 5,000 people that were responsive. And I started talking to my friends and I said, what if I had expert, like I thought I made it up. Clearly I didn't, but once I started doing it, I was like, oh, other people have done this too. Because of course I wanted to research summits. How do you do a summit? I had to really start with Dr. Google. And I decided I was going to have 10 people. And then I got a coach and they said, no, you have to have 20. And I almost died. I thought, 20 people, how am I going to get 20?
Wow.
She said, even if you get 15, 10 is just not enough. Now, these days we do more niche. I know a lot of summits are smaller. Maybe over the course of 2 days, you have 10 people and it's, every other hour. But in those days, it was one a day and it was live. There was no pre recorded anything. And part of the anxiety was getting people's schedule to work with, since it was live, they had to work within my 2 weeks. And the timing, I wanted everything to be at the same time so that more people would get used to showing up at, say, 7 or 5 p.m., whatever it was. So there was a lot of herding cats, but people were really open. And I had been following so many of these docs and interacting with them on social and email anyway, that they were willing to do that. And the one thing I didn't think about was how I was going to pay for it. I didn't expect to make money. I didn't know you could make money with a summit. I just was so excited about having these experts gather together over the course of 2 weeks or 10 days and share their stuff. And it worked really, really well. We were on, phone lines. There was no Zoom. And one time I was in the middle of a summit, in the middle of a conversation with a spiritual person, and a huge storm came out of nowhere where she was. I think she was in the Carolinas, by the way. And all of a sudden, the phone started making all this noise. I didn't want to hang up because I didn't want to lose her. I didn't know how I was going to edit it out. I guess it didn't matter. And she went off into sort of a reverie about the energy of the conversation and how whatever was going on was spiritual. And I was a little gobsmacked because I wasn't really into that much woo in those days. But anyway, I left it in. And those are the funny little things that happen, or the things that people write about. Oh my God, when you were on the phone with her, I couldn't believe I felt the same way as she did, right? Everybody has their own perception of what's going on. You just, again, you have to have the courage to let that be okay rather than worrying about it sounding all perfect and polished. I've had so many bloopers happen and I leave them in because people love that. Was interviewing somebody now many years later. We're on Zoom and I'm interviewing this doctor who's really well known, female doc. And I hear these dogs barking. And I said before we started, I said, "Are your dogs right outside the door?" She said, "Oh yeah, they'll calm down. They won't bother us." About 15 minutes in, one of her kids opened the door to say something to her. Dog leaped up on the desk, slid across, and went out and kept going. And we just kept talking. It was like, what are you gonna do? So just be prepared. It's like a wedding. Nothing is ever 100% as you expect it's going to be.
I do like to recommend that people start off with 10 to 12 speakers because as a graphic designer, that makes a good portfolio.
Hmm.
And that's how I think of things. So I do think that's good. You can have more. I have found that people who want 20 speakers or more want to sell a replay. It's like
Mhm.
this is so much great information. You can't possibly have it all in one day. You're gonna need to buy the replay. It's like if I paid for the event, let me have what I paid for and let me have it be digestible.
Yeah.
That is just my own personal thing. But so that's what I tell people I work with, like
Hmm.
have digestible information. Because if you do, people will find that like, well, Gregory had so much great stuff to say. I need to follow up with her. And they do.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. That's ultimately what we're doing these summits for. Again, it's not altruistic. It might be great that we're providing value. I'm not diminishing that. But we want people to hear us. It may be that their audience is interested in the experts, but they're going to hear a common thread with you as the host, hopefully. If you're making sure that you are also presented as an expert and asking good questions reinforces that you know what you're talking about. You might be, and you can throw in things. It just happens naturally now, but there are times when, let's just say, let's say I'm a women's health coach and I'm interviewing these docs. I'm going to say, well, I had a client the other day who said this, would you agree? Or how would you have treated that, right? You just mention what you do throughout, now and again, not all the time. And then people will think, oh, and of course, you're always going to say who, the company, what you do at the beginning or end of every episode. You're going to mention ways to get in touch with you. And then I don't know, you'll tell me what you do, but I always do the last episode. Now, some coaches would say, don't do the last one because people drop off. People do drop off, especially if it's a longer summit, a 10-day or something. But I like to do the last one because I'm going to send it out as a free recording after the thing is over. And I do a recap of all we learned. And then I talk about how I would use that information in my coaching or working with women. So it's a way to tie it back, tie it up for people, and also to remind them who you are.
I never thought about it that way. I guess I work the opposite way.
Yep.
Um, um, well, I hate to say this, but I'm here in South Carolina, and after dark, the ice cream trucks, when we had ice cream trucks, they would sell drugs. First one's free, and that's how we do our content. We first day, of the event is free. Is distribute throughout social. I'm using one stream live. We stream live to 12 platforms, and that's how people get the information. And he's like, hey, if you think all of this information was great and useful, there's still time to sign up and pay whatever the price is and come network with us. Ask your questions live.
That's a
So,
great
but
idea.
but I've never thought about doing it the other way.
Well, and
But
I've
so
never
that
done it live in this way. Like you're saying, you're streaming to different platforms. Of course, my last live ones were on the phone, and then they all became Zoom after that. And I also have never charged to be a part of a summit. I mean, to join and as a guest and listen, which I think is a really good idea. And of course, there's nothing inexpensive about putting on a multi-speaker summit because, as you mentioned, you've got to have graphics, many different graphics, right? You've got to have the opt-in page, you've got to have the speaker page, you've got to have, the event, whatever pages you have. Plus, in my case, I used a VA because I can't do the back end stuff myself at all. There's at least one or two emails every single day. Then there, on and on and on. So plus your time. So really, if you have to think about, is this charity? Can I just afford to put 2,500, 3,000, $5,000 in sort of a bucket over here and not worry about getting it back? Or do I want to monetize it? If so, how much do I want to make? That will then tell you really how much you can spend. But I didn't learn that in the early days.
understand. I want to tell you about Heysummit. It's one of my favorite programs. It's a landing page. It's a affiliate program. It does your back end stuff. Like if you want to have your background be a different color, if you want to have your brand colors, all you need to know is your hex codes and fill in this information box, and all your information is there. If you want speaker pages, it does that. If you
Wow.
want banners and speaker posts, it does that for you. I'm a big fan of automation, and when things do stuff for me, I love it. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, when things do stuff for us, I get you on that.
Yeah, you should hear me go. Like last week, I went off on a tangent about using RSS feeds and how I can have blog posts distribute my YouTube channel, distribute into a podcast. I had a fit with Anchor. They would not use RSS feed. It only takes a minute to upload your files. I seriously did not want to do it. So I found Soundwise, and Soundwise hooks up my YouTube RSS feed. And so every time, like right now, we're doing a show.
Yep.
When the show ends, it will go to the podcast by itself.
Wow.
That feels like a relief for me. Like
Yeah.
I do not want to take that 1 minute to upload a file.
Yeah. Well, and I don't know about you, but it never ends up taking a minute. It seems like something simple, but you
Yeah,
know, and then there may be a rabbit hole where you get to YouTube to check and make sure it went okay, and you see that somebody left a comment, then you have to reply to the comment. There's so many pieces if we can take ourselves at it. Not that I don't like to reply to people's comments, but I try to apportion a time, like from 10 to 11, I'm going to do X, not like maybe at 1, maybe at 9, maybe at 3. And that's the other thing about a summit, I will say. There are so many moving parts that the best thing I can tell you is start early. And you probably will disagree with me. Lots of people have. I start 6 months in advance so that I make sure I know my team and I know exactly when things, and then I do a timeline with milestones, mostly for me, because as the person who's going to write most of the copy, I'm the one that could get behind. Everybody else is going to do their thing. So um, it, the more organized you are, the less you're going to burn time worrying about little things when you see this has to be done, this has to be done.
I understand that. Um, what I'm learning is that everything can't stay in my head. I am yeah. I am also learning that if I write down my processes, my standard operating procedures, that other people can help me. And sometimes when you ask people to help you, they actually show up and help you. And I
Mm-hmm.
love that.
Yeah.
And it can't be possible unless they know what to do.
Yeah.
So for a long time, I just now made for a long time I did not write down my procedures, and I just told people what to do, and they would ask me or repeatedly ask me what's next. So
Mm.
I made videos for it because I didn't want to write it down. And then programs change. So now I do have a standard operating procedures of how to host a virtual event. And I can do walkthroughs. And each time I do a walkthrough, it's recorded and I can change it if I need it.
Yeah.
So it just took me a minute. It actually took me a minute to come out and say all of that.
But yeah, procedures where somebody else can read them or watch a video, it's such a time saver. And I also find that it's so right off the bat, if you give somebody a full procedure, the questions that we didn't anticipate from that person who's going to use it will come up then before you need it, that you can answer their question, and then everybody's smooth sailing after that.
One of the things I like to start with is what would you like to get from this virtual event you're hosting? What would you like your speakers and sponsors to get from being a part of your event? What would you like your guests to come away with? And I do ask the people I work with to write all of that down in my mind. And I tell them that I hope that this would cut down unspoken wants
Hmm.
and help you realize the goals you had set for yourself from this event. And so far, so good.
That's really great. And I think that that's something, like I said in the beginning, in the early days, my only goal was to really enjoy myself and enjoy the speakers and maybe get to know them a little. And you need more than that. And why not ask them what their goal is? And one thing we didn't talk about when trying to attract any speaker, but especially people that might be way further down the line in terms of exposure and social media, it doesn't matter if you don't have a huge list, but you have to be willing, in my opinion, to show the big fish that they're going to have exposure. So when I didn't have a big list and I had some yeses from some people that had bigger lists, in the email that I would write to the person, I would say, these three people have already agreed. Their lists are 10,000, 15,000, and whatever. So right off the bat, the exposure is 100,000 people or 50,000. I expect to get X, Y, and Z. I didn't even talk about my list. If they asked, and some people do, I would tell them honestly, my list is 2,000 people. And yes, I'm hoping to grow it. But what I am good at is outreach. We're hiring a social media company to do all the promotion. So we will, so it's just, you have to be willing to prove to the speaker, most speakers, that they're going to get the kind of exposure they expect if they're going to give you an hour of their time or 45 minutes, whatever.
Okay.
What do you think?
I'm wondering about cross pollination with speakers and if
Mhm.
they would actually follow through. I have met a couple of people say they would do things and just didn't do it. Maybe they
Mhm.
forgot or maybe something else came up, better opportunity, whatever. I've had I've invited guests to be on this show, and either they forgot and just didn't show up. So I do wonder about cross pollination and speaker wrangling, but that is a good idea to tell them the size of other people's lists.
Yeah.
But how do you get them to promote themselves being a part of your event?
So one of the things that I ask is, this is what we require. Two emails to your list or one email, however many emails you want them to send to this big list that they have. And then the social was, especially since I haven't done one in 5 years, was a it was a big deal, but it wasn't like now. Like, how many do you have on Instagram? That's a bigger question. But some people right off the bat, when they saw that email, would write back and say, I won't promote. It's not what I do. If it was a name that was big enough, like if I got Kamala Harris, and her office said, we don't promote through email, I'd be like, fine, no problem. I just want her, right? So you have to balance from the people that won't and the people that will. I agree. I've had people that said they would and they didn't. And because, of course, we get on all of their lists to see whether people are actually promoting. And then we'll just send a reminder if we don't see, like, it's the day of their audition interview and they haven't sent out anything. When it's over, my VA would write and say, hey, we noticed that we didn't get an email today. Maybe we're not in that list. Maybe we're segmented out of this. And not to put pressure. And I don't think that's rude. They agreed to send to people. but you can't really make people do it. It's the same with the podcast. Whenever I have somebody on the podcast, I say, "How are you going to promote? Will you promote?" And they say, "Yes, yes, yes." And many don't. What are you going to do?
That is a really good idea to get on their list because I've been asking for tags. So just to actually get on the list is even better. I have friends ask me to promote for them, and what I do is I go to Missing Letter. I set up a curate file for them, and if they've been on the show, I chop it up into 1 to 2 minute clips, and I let other people send it out for me using
Mhm.
my affiliate link they gave me, but they send it out for me.
Yeah,
So
that's great. I tried
I
Missing
thought
Letter
so.
years ago when it first came out, and it was a little bit wonky. The clips that they would pull, is it more reliable now? You like it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, again with the RSS feeds, it goes to my YouTube channel and picks it up and tells me I have curated content to check out, and I can chop that up into 9 pieces and it'll send it out throughout the year. Love
Wow.
that.
Yeah.
But for people I work with, people who want me to promote for them, I think the shorter clips work better for them.
Hmm. They seem to be the right, just hit the sweet spot. If you clip a really good one-liner from somebody and you put it in an audiogram or something, that seems to be the way to get people's attention.
Yep. So if you make those 1 minute clips, uh, I think the sweet spot would be like 15 seconds. But if you can make no longer than 2 minutes, if you can put that in YouTube and get the closed captioning from it and have that on there, even better.
Wow.
Because like if you're putting those clips into LinkedIn, people most times people don't use the sound.
That's true. I've heard that. Do you use Headliner or do you just use Missing Letter?
Missing letter.
Uh-huh.
My other one is Promo Republic.
Oh, I looked at them a long time ago. Now, what did they do differently than Missing Letter?
Um, with the scheduler, it for me, I feel like I can move pieces around or ask it what to do and it listens to me. Like I can, sorry, when I post for other people, like my friends who's having an event every Wednesday, like a summit series for business coaches. I post his video clips every 3 hours. So in a 24-hour period. And Promo Republic will pick the best times for each platforms.
Oh, so it's a scheduler.
Yeah.
Okay.
But so is Missing Letter. It just makes things a little more easier for me. I just
Mm-hmm.
don't know how to use the scheduler in Missing Letter yet.
So much to learn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
And
it,
Heysummit is a summit. What would you call it? I've seen it. I just have never used it. Explain it.
well, it's like a platform. I like to tell people that it is a landing page builder, but it's so
Okay.
much more than that. Like it builds your summit page, it builds your ticket pages. You can have strategies with your ticket pages, like if you want to have a 3 tier system and tell people that one ticket price is better than the other, you can do that. If you want to have one ticket at a time and have the tickets disappear on their own when time runs out, you can do that. You
Oh,
can name your
awesome.
tickets whatever you want: early bird, procrastinator's price, general admission, stuff like that. You can do that and you can have them go one after another. It's like, oh yeah. And it sends out emails for you. Love that too.
Now,
And
does
you,
it link to Stripe or Square or any of the payment processors?
they got 2 choices: Stripe and PayPal.
Okay, that's all you need, really. I
Yeah.
mean, you honestly, anybody in business could use either one of those, I think.
Yeah. So,
That's great.
and I really like that, you can, have affiliate links. I think the affiliate links are really important. I tell people if you want people, your speakers to promote your event, offer them 50% or more because I don't believe that you will make your money from your ticket prices. I
Hmm.
believe you make your money from your high ticket offers and
Yeah.
or your sponsors.
Yeah. I think the best, unless you're, dealing with every speaker, like a Hay House Summit where every speaker has 100, 200,000 people on their list, you're right. I think you're going to make your money on the back end, not in ticket prices. That's why I said I always think if I can break even in selling upgrades, VIPs, whatever, then I've done my job. And
Yeah.
then the next job I have is to get people into the business, my business.
Yeah. So, like if people come to your landing page, like the first page of you see on Heysummit, and they click on get your ticket and they purchase a ticket, you can have a redirect as a thank you page with a personal email video saying, thanks for purchasing that ticket, but you know, the VIP is going to be a lot more fun.
Yeah.
And you tell them that price and you can go from there.
Yeah.
I thought that was amazing.
Absolutely. And I forgot about that part. It's like, yes, you get to create little videos for your summit if you really want to be engaging to the people who show up. Because a lot of people that show up are not going to know who you are.
Yeah.
If you think about it, your own list, which is why you don't want to hit your list as many times as you might be hitting out in social, doing things in social, because they already love you. You don't have to promote too many times to them because they're either going to say yes or no once or twice when they see the email. But it's definitely, yeah.
What you could do is give them value points. Like I know that you're a copywriter and you could break down the points of copywriting, what it takes to make a landing page, what it took for you to make that landing page that you're currently using,
That's a
like
good idea.
behind the scenes, because people who attend your events love the behind the scene
They
things.
do. Yep. Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's why we call them in the copywriting world an over the shoulder video, where you might take a sales page or a landing page and go through it and record it and then give it to your list. It's a great way to build that particular sales of that particular service if it's something you offer.
Yeah, it's like, and it's like a build up to the event. Like,
Hmm.
how did this is how I got my speakers to say yes to this event. This is my speaker request copy, and these are this or the first three emails that you sent out for your drip campaign, or how you created a drip campaign for that.
Hmm. Yeah, that's a great
Yes.
idea.
Yeah. Mm. Uh, I love copy. I'm not that great at it, but I love meeting other copywriters.
Yeah, me too. I'm on a bunch of copywriter, A-list copywriters lists of all different varieties. And when I first decided to do this as do this, not this, as a separate business, I went to school like I usually do. I took a robust year-long course, more than one, in copywriting, and then the business of copywriting, and then another one on research. Like there are just so many things to learn with every new thing that we want to attempt, right? Um, but it was something I always wanted. I was doing it for other people for their mastermind groups. I was coaching speakers on how to get people's attention, how to craft a pitch that, so you don't sound like everybody else, and doing copywriting for the people's sales pages for their events and stuff. So I thought, why am I doing this for them, not making any money when I could do it for myself? So anyway, I thought, let me give it a try. So I hung out my shingle, and like I said, I learned a bunch of stuff, but copywriting really is fun. And you don't have to be an English major, Erica, as somebody once told you. You really just have to learn how to get the voice of the person you're writing for and understand what the mind wants to keep it engaged on a page, how to get people to keep reading down the page.
I like that. Will you host another event?
Well, now that we're talking about it, I might just have to. It's been in my mind, and I was I just I have to find again. I start 6 months out, and it took me. I'm about a year into my podcast, and I wanted to get that really solid, so I had a system, and then I could think about maybe doing a summit, and I could do the summit on for copy and for standing out. The one time I guess I've done two for the world of marketing. One was called the Great Marketing Debate, and I had people that had different ideas about how to write copy, how to speak, how to get attention online. It was really, really a great summit. So I wouldn't want to repeat that, but I like the idea of the debate thing, to have differing, as I said earlier, to differing points of view, make a summit, I think, even more interesting. Like I could pit for a health summit, maybe I would pit somebody who believes in, lowering cholesterol and giving people drugs, and then the other people are like, no, change your lifestyle to healthier, right? Those different kind of viewpoints. So people hear all different aspects of the argument.
I'm a big fan of hosting one event multiple times per year.
Mm.
And I do like your idea for the copy. So if you've already hosted, please host it again. I like to tell people I work with, host your event 4 times a year, every quarter.
Mm-hmm.
So if you've already hosted one about copy, I mean, I want to know about how do I write a sales letter? How do I start an email drip? Um, how do I get a landing page copy? How do I write my social media posts?
Mm-hmm.
How do I write copy for my Facebook group? Like you can have people who are experts in Facebook groups or challenges or webinars or all that other stuff I said I can't remember
Yeah.
now.
I'll have to listen to the recording of this.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is a great idea, and that it's an endless possibility of speakers too on those topics. I mean, I'm on so many lists, and I've been committed to mastering Instagram. So I'm on a couple of Instagram. I joined something called the Instagram Challenge. It was $97. There wasn't really a challenge, or the Instagram bundle, and it had about, I don't know, 15 people's freebies bundled into this thing. And I've gotten through about half of them. Half of them I stayed on the list for like 3 emails, and then I got off because, that's the other thing I would have to say about looking good, which we talked about in the very beginning. Don't look better than you can deliver. If you're making promises, as in some of these people who marketed a certain thing that they were going to teach, and then they didn't teach well, or it turned out they teach that as like 10% of what they do, and the other 90% has to do with something totally unrelated. That's like bait and switch.
Yeah.
And that's why I always say I won't, there are certain clients I won't take because I don't want to make them sound better than I know they can deliver. And that sounds really arrogant maybe, but it's not hard to see whether and find whether people are actually delivering. You just go on any of the websites, Reddit or Quora or social media, and look for reviews of the people, especially people with high ticket items. If they don't get a lot of good reviews and they get a lot of people saying, oh, I feel like I wasted my money, this and that, you know what? It's just not some. So it's better to be a little bit understated and over deliver than make it all look splashy and then stumble around not being able to give people what they came for.
I believe that. I mean, I don't like the bait and switch. I have saw people on Facebook where they had a great ad copy, and I click on it to see their free video because they're doing an upsell for an
Mm-hmm.
event. And like the first 10 minutes of that video is great, and then all of a sudden they're not saying anything. They're talking a lot, but they're not saying anything.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how did you go from this to this?
Yeah. Well, and the other thing I hate when you click on an ad for free something, and the first 5 or 10 minutes, all the person does is list all of their accomplishments, including their degrees and who they coached or who they wrote for, whatever. I don't think, and again, this goes back to what we would teach when we were teaching speakers to hold the audience, to hook the audience's attention. The first thing that the brain's message is what's in it for me. The little reptilian brain, it's always saying what's in it for me. If you lead with I, the brain has gone off, checking Instagram, worrying whether they turned the iron off before they left the house, whatever. So I think the best thing to do is deliver what the ad promised right up front in the video. And then later saying, for those of you who don't know me, let me just tell you X, Y, and Z, whatever it is. It's all about hooking the attention of the person you want to listen.
Yeah. El Kersey's here with us in Facebook, and she's saying that you got good tips.
Oh, good. Thanks. Happy to provide
Hooray.
good tips.
So, if you did host another event, hopefully on copywriting, would you use Heysummit?
I'd have to take a look at it to see what they do, of course. But anything that makes my life easier, like you said, I have, believe it or not, for people that have a VA or are thinking about getting a VA, I hardly think you could use one. I mean, if you can afford it. I've had my VA for 11 years, which is
Wow.
probably some kind of record in the industry. I've met her once in all that time. I was a speaker at an event in the town she lives in Florida. So I would just have to see if I always consult with my VA and say, is this software something I should spend money on? Are you comfortable? She'll always learn something, even if she doesn't know it. It's not the problem. But she has a really great sense about what she can do versus what a technology will do, and if it matters to for her to give it away, because even she has to learn how to delegate or give it to another team member. So yeah, I'll definitely take a look at it.
Well, I will say the good and bad thing about Heysummit is that it's automated.
Yeah,
So if you don't
takes the
want your
human out of it.
emails to go out at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, it's going to go out at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Yeah, yeah, that's really great. You'll have to send me your link for it and I'll take a look.
Will do.
Yeah, and
Uh,
for missing letter too, whatever you have, send it over.
have you heard of mylaunchstash.com?
No.
So if you're a fan of affiliate links, you can put all of your affiliate links in there. You can write why you have them as affiliates, and you can put videos on why you have them as affiliates. Or if you want to show like how you use it, you can put that in there. And you can search everybody else's, they call them stashes. You can search all of theirs if you wanted to.
That's so my launch stash.
Yep, mylaunchstash.com.
That's
And
cool.
it's free.
What?
Yeah, I love it
I love
because I
free.
have a lot of affiliate links, and before this I ain't really use them because I didn't know what they were,
Yeah, me too. I
but
have
now
them
I
on a
do.
document, on a doc on my desktop, and then I'm like, oh, do I have one for this? Then I have to go open the doc and look through the thing. This is great. Good to know.
Yeah, as an artist, it's all in alphabetical order, and I can tell which one is which because they have logos. So yay.
Ah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, because sometimes I forget, the name of the company isn't necessarily what I am affiliating.
Mhm.
And so it's good that the logo, because I always, we're so visually oriented that when I see the logo, I'm like, oh yeah, that's Captivate or that's Missing Letter. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's great.
So another one I want to get you to check out is repurpose.io.
I've
And
just been looking at them literally this week.
Hanny was on the show. He's a great
Oh
guy.
yeah.
Great information. If you're not a part of his Facebook group, join.
Okay.
He has great stuff on TikTok also. So, yeah.
Are you on
And
TikTok, Erica?
yes and no. My husband told me I should do it. Gary Vaynerchuk said do it. Even Hanny Moore said do it. And I put some stuff on there. I created an account, and that was it. But I am going to figure out how to get those short clips that I make um, be transferred via RSS feed and be there for me.
Yeah, well,
Somehow, I'm going to figure that out.
I don't doubt that you will too. Yeah, I haven't braved TikTok yet. I've watched a few of the most common ones. And some of the TikTok videos are showing up in my Instagram feed of the people that I follow. So like you want to figure it out, somebody's figured it out. I'm sure you will.
So right now, I'm really trying to learn YouTube, and the big
Mm-hmm.
thing is YouTube Shorts. And if I can do well with YouTube Shorts, or even just create more than one I have, I can use those to go to TikTok and Instagram Reels. But I really want to get YouTube down first before I go over somewhere else because I can get easily distracted.
No, not like any other entrepreneur that I know. It's so easy to get distracted.
Yeah, everything is so shiny.
It is, and it seems like nowadays, every other week, some new application that's better than the old application comes out, and I get an ad, and it's always on Instagram. They must, because the algorithm knows what you like, so it sends you more of the same. So I must have clicked on a couple of ads for, you know, AI writers or anything, and now I'm getting all these. I'm like, no, I can't think about another thing. Let me just, like you said, you want to master one thing before you go into the other. I'm right now, as I said, Instagram, and now my second is YouTube. I want to get those down, and then I'll worry about TikTok or something else.
I went with YouTube because it is the second largest search engine,
I know. Yep.
and I want to be known for helping people with virtual summits. So I'm thinking if I can't be big with SEO on Google, maybe I can do something with YouTube. I'm
Oh
hoping.
yeah,
Fingers crossed.
fingers crossed. Yeah, I think it's a matter of there's something called YouTube Buddy that a friend of
Yeah,
mine
tube buddy.
recommended. I haven't looked into it yet, but I know that it's a long tail game, YouTube, because and you really have to get the keywords and answer the people and be showing up regularly. But if you enjoy it, why not? And that's the thing about social I've learned. If I don't love Facebook, so I don't spend much time on Facebook anymore
Yeah.
because I enjoy other platforms. So that's another thing to keep in mind um, with promoting a summit or anything else. Where do you really want to play? Don't try to hit every channel unless it's automated. Like you are so smart to have this going to all these different platforms.
Well, when I first started, in Zoom, there's a more button. It offers YouTube and
Mm-hmm.
Facebook. And I thought I would have the bright idea to only stream to Facebook. And I asked people to meet me and hang out on Facebook. They deleted me. They said, "Don't you dare ask me to go to Facebook. I hate
What?
Facebook." Yeah.
Oh my
So I was like,
goodness.
wow. I learned my lesson quickly. And
Okay.
I started using OneStream to stream to other platforms. And I was like, you don't have to meet me here. I can be where you are.
Nice.
So that was a relief because people stopped being mad at me after that.
There are a lot of opinions out there these days, and some of them are not nice.
Yeah. I did not know that Facebook was thought of that way because
I
Google says it is the most used platform or something like that.
Yeah, yeah. I think YouTube may have taken over.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Then
I think
yay.
YouTube has taken over as the number one search. And people, I was interviewed recently by a guy who teaches podcasting. He's in England, and we talked about whether to use YouTube and that it's the second largest search engine, and what should you do? And he said in his world, his experience, the most important thing is showing up regularly and doing shorts. I don't know what you talked about, YouTube shorts. I don't know about them. He didn't call them those, but he said get yourself a great graphic, put a little wave in front of it, do the subtitles, and just get them out there like 10 minutes. I think he said 10 minutes or less. So that how hard could that be? I mean, I'm already doing my podcast interviews are on video. So there's got to be a couple of clips I can get out of there, and the video's already there. I could just not even do the video. He said nobody's going to sit and watch two people talking. And I said, I don't think they do, but it doesn't matter whether it's video or just a little thumbnail. What I'm looking for is listeners, whether they look at me or they look at a picture. I don't care. I just want them to listen and respond and then go sign up for the podcast somewhere, subscribe.
Yeah. So with a lot of things, even YouTube, if I'm walking, my phone's in my pocket, got earbuds in,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah. Unless you're showing me how to do something, that's the only time I'm watching.
Exactly. And although I don't use YouTube as a search engine for everything, when I want to see how to do something, that's like the other day I was like, how do you put those circles under your Instagram bio? So I had to I went to YouTube and I found a couple of videos and now I'm good to go.
Yay.
Yeah.
My 7-year-old loves the school of YouTube. He likes to draw.
Oh, good. That's fun.
Well, you didn't tell us the name of your podcast and where can we find you on Instagram?
Well, on Instagram, first of all, the name of the podcast is Rebellious Wellness Over 50, same as the business is. And on social, I'm Rebel Well 50, Rebel Well 50. And the so obviously it's a wellness. My business, I have two businesses. This one that we're talking about is all I would say for women who realize like one day they woke up and their body has a mind of its own and they don't know what the heck to do. They felt healthy and suddenly they don't feel so healthy. Or maybe they're in their 60s and they're thinking, wonder if I'm doing enough not to slide into old ladyhood. That's the kind of information I provide. That's the kind of coaching I provide. When we talked about copywriting, my copywriting business is called bemoremarketable.com. And I do copywriting and website overhauls, and I rehab what I call rehab copy for people. Maybe they've got a landing page. It was okay. The conversions were okay, but it wasn't really the numbers they wanted. It's for their freebie or for their summit. I just go in and tweak things for them and make it more convertible.
All right. I really like that name, be more marketable. I've always heard when you want someone to invest in something or buy something, you should ask yourself, you should start with I want, and if your title fits in, then it's a good fit.
Oh, that's good. That's a really good point. I never thought of that question.
Well,
Well, everybody should want to be more marketable.
yes.
And how you
Yes.
get more marketable is having a message that is not the same as everybody else who does what you do says.
Yeah. I like that. Well, Gregory Ann Cox, thanks for being on the show. Thanks for
Thanks.
having great insights. And I love that you're a researcher.
Oh, I'm just a research geek. I mean, I wanted to be a doctor and I didn't really do that well in chemistry. So that if I couldn't get past chemistry, I figured I wasn't. But I still love the idea of understanding whether it's the body or a sentence. Why did this one word, why did this convert and not that? I came into the world wanting to know things. And the only way you get to know them is to research.
Yeah, I like that.
And thank you for having me, Erica. This has been a great conversation. I appreciate it.
All right. Appreciate you. Thanks.
Take care, everybody.